sa ECQ. Lilinawin po namin, ang Iloilo City ay kasama po sa ECQ. Paumanhin mo, pero talagang base po yan sa dami ng kaso at doon sa kakayahan ng lugar na magbigay ng medical services. Ang grupo ang grupo po ng 200 overseas Filipinos galing sa Milan, Italy ay bibigyan po ng PCR test pagdating nila dito sa ating bayan. Yung mga magte-test pong negative ay exempted na po sa requirement ng facility-based quarantine at papayagan na pong umuwi sa kanilang mga probinsya. Pero mag-undergo po sila ng 14-day home quarantine. Binigyan po ng otoridad si General Galvez bilang NTF COVID-19 Chief Implementer na mag-exercise ng kanyang discretion para gamitin po ang PCR o Rapid Antibody Test para po doon sa ating mga OFWs, mahigit kumulang 16,000 na ngayon po ay nasa quarantine facilities at sa iba pang mga foreign nationals. Lahat po ng darating na mga OFWs ay mamamanage po sang-ayon po sa updated algorithm ng triage at management ng repatriated OFWs from high risk or other jurisdiction na i-issue po ng Department of Health and the Bureau of Quarantine. Now, yung paragraph B po ng Interagency Task Force Resolution 29 is hereby amended as follows. Unang-una po, lahat po ng desisyon na mag-impose, mag-lift or mag-extend ng community quarantine sa mga probinsya, highly urbanized cities at mga independent component cities ay decision po ng IATF. Ganun pa man, lahat po ng mga gobernador ay meron pong authority na mag-impose, mag-lift, mag-extend ng ECQ sa mga component cities and municipalities, pero kailangan po may concurrence ng relevant regional counterpart body ng IATF. Yung mga mayor naman po ng cities and municipalities ay meron pong kapangyarihan mag-impose, mag-lift, or mag-extend ng ECQ sa mga barangay nila at kinakailangan din po merong concurrence ng relevant regional counterpart body ng IATF. This is without prejudice to the authority of the IATF to directly impose, lift, or extend ECQ in these areas should circumstances call for it. Wala pong LGU na po pwedeng magdeklara ng community quarantine regardless po ng nomenclature o anuman ang tawag nang hindi po sumusunod dun sa proseso na aking sinabi. Now, ito po yung omnibus guidelines on the implementation ng enhanced community quarantine. Dahil mahaba po yan, ipapublish naman namin in its entirety. Ang babasahin ko lang po ay yung mga bagong provisions ng guidelines na applicable po sa ECQ, kasama po ang Metro Manila. Ito po, napakadaming lola na tumawag at sadya nasabi, kukurutin daw ang singit ko dahil kinukulong ang mga senior citizens. Well, mga lolo-lola, hindi naman po totoo yan dahil ang ating presidente at karamihan ng cabinet ay senior citizen. Pero kaming tatlong narito po, hindi pa senior citizens. No? Papunta na po sa pagiging seniors. Sa ECQ po, lahat po ng kabataan below 21 years old at lahat ng matatanda beyond 60 years old, yung meron po mga immunodeficiency, yung meron mga comorbidities at iba pang mga sakit, yung mga buntis, kasama po yung mga tao na naninirahan sa isang bahay, kasama itong mga individual neto, ay kinakailangan manatili sa kanilang mga bahay-bahay. Except, number 1, indispensable under the circumstance for obtaining essential goods and services or when they are allowed to work in permitted industries and offices. So mga lolo-lola, hindi naman po kayo completely kulong. Pero ulitin ko po, no, sa pag-aaral, especially vulnerable po ang mga elderly. Pwede lang po kayong lumabas para kumuha ng essential goods and services o para magtrabaho sa mga pinapayagang mga industriya. Sa manufacturing po, tuloy po na po ang manufacturing and processing plants of basic food products, medicine, vitamins, medical supplies, devices, equipment at iba pang mga produkto. not limited to soap and detergents, diapers, feminine hygiene products, toilet papers, wet wipes, and disinfectants. So mas malawak po talaga ngayon ang allowed sa ECQ, no? Provided that the establishment involved in the production, manufacturing, packaging, processing, and distribution of food may operate at a maximum of 50% in the respective workforce unless the supply level of a basic food product warrants a higher capacity. In which case, magbibigay po ng autorizasyon ang DTI para po doon sa temporary increase of workforce capacity. Yung mga delivery services po, whether in-house or outsourced, transporting food, medicine, or other essential goods, delivery of clothing and accessories, hardware, housewares, school office and office supplies, as well as pet food and other veterinary products ay allowed na po maski under ECQ. So yung mga mahilig pong mag-shopping ng damit sa mga iba't ibang e-companies, po pwede na po kayo magpa-deliver. Yung power po siyempre, dati pa naman yung allowed, power, energy, water, information technology, and telecommunication supplies and facilities. Ang bago po, yung waste disposal services as well as property management and building utility services. Ang mga airline and aircraft maintenance employees, including pilots and crews and ship and captains and crew, po pwede na rin po, bagamat this is subject to guidelines to be imposed by the Department of Transportation. Ang guidelines po, dapat may social distancing ng 1 metro po. So sa eroplano, parang hindi lang po yan every other seat dahil ang 1 metro will clearly be every 2 seats kung hindi ako nagkakamali. No? Ang media establishment po, at a maximum operational capacity of 50% of their total permanent staff complement as registered sa DOLE po, inclusive of reporters and other field employees as accredited by the PCOO. Yung mga construction workers po na accredited ng Department of Public Works and Highways para po doon sa mga ginagawang mga facilities intended for purposes of quarantine and isolation, yung mga facilities for the health sector, emergency works, flood control, and other disaster risk reduction and rehabilitation work. Yung mga manufacturing companies and suppliers ng equipment or products necessary to perform construction work. Yung mga manggagawa po na accredited ng Department of Transportation para po magtrabaho dun sa mga utility relocation works, specified limited works across 13 railway projects. Yung mga railway projects po, kasama na po dyan yung replacement works ng Metro Manila Rail Transit System, Line 3, provided na magkakaroon po ng on-site or near-site accommodations and or point-to-point shuttle service na aayusin ng mga maggagawa. Yung employees po ng Philippine Postal Corporation at the capacity necessary to maintain yung prompt delivery ng mga serbisyo sa mga kliyente, yung mga empleyado po ng Philippine Statistics Authority at the capacity necessary to conduct data gathering and survey activities related to COVID-19, and yung pag-register po at implement ng National ID System. At syempre po yung mga funeral and embalming services, provided that yung funeral service and operators are directed to provide shuttling services and or housing accommodations para sa kanilang personnel and staff. Yung mga humanitarian assistance personnel po, galing po sa civil society organizations, non-government organizations, and United Nations humanitarian country teams, kasama na po yung mga individual na gumagawa po ng relief operations to augment the government's response against COVID-19 and other disaster or calamities that may occur, provided they are authorized by the appropriate government agency or LGUs. Yung mga pastor po, mga imam, mga pare, at iba pang mga ministro ng mga religious sects and denominations para po doon sa mga galaw na kinakailangan sa necrological or funeral rites. In this connection, yung mga immediate family members po ng mga namatay, doon po sa ibang dahilan other than COVID-19, po pwede na pong mag-move from the residence to attend the wake or interment of the deceased upon satisfactory proof of the relationship with the latter and social distancing measures. Mga vet clinics po pwede na mga security personnel. At yung for purposes po of implementing this, yung transit by permitted persons to and from the above establishments anywhere within the area covered by ECQ shall now be allowed. Yung mga repatriated OFWs po in compliance with approved quarantine protocols. Yung mga non-OFWs na kinakailangan po na mag-undergo ng mandatory facility-based quarantine at yung mga health workers po and other employees from exempted establishment under these guidelines and applicable memoranda from the Executive Secretary. Provided na ang pag-operate po ng mga hotel shall be limited dun po sa provision ng basic lodging to guests. Yung mga regulatory agencies po na merong jurisdiction sa mga permitted establishments or persons ay po pwede pong mag-issue ng official IATF accreditation IDs. Bona fide IDs po na issued by establishments exempted from the strict home quarantine requirement shall likewise be honored by law enforcement agencies. Yung rapid pass system po ay complementary dun sa mga existing IATF IDs na na-issue na ng mga member organizations na patuloy po na dapat i-honor sa lahat ng checkpoints. Sa mga checkpoints, rapid pass pwede, dating IATF IDs pwede. Yung enrollment po para sa rapid pass ay voluntaryo at will cover yung mga qualified private sector entities or persons. The movement of cargo vehicles shall be unhampered. Tuloy-tuloy pa rin po ang mga cargo natin sa mga checkpoints. Cargo vehicles as well as vehicles used by public utility companies, BPOs, and export-oriented establishments shall not be subject to an ID system. Yung PNP po ay patuloy na magkakaroon ng otoridad para mag-conduct ng inspeksyon sa mga checkpoints para po masiguro ang pagpapatupad ng protocols sa strict home quarantines. Ang mga government offices and private companies are encouraged to process payroll online po. Doon sa mga hindi po pwedeng magkaroon ng online, yung mga payroll managers at yung ibang empleyado na kinakailangan gumawa ng payroll ay papayagan pong bumiyahe at mag-operate habang covered ng ECQ. Yung ibang section pa po sa home quarantine requirements through previous IATF resolutions or issuances of the Office of the President shall continue to be honored. Ito naman po ang guidelines para sa general community quarantine. Mas mahaba po ito. Ulitin ko po, ang binasa ko lang kanina na guidelines for ECQ ay yung mga bago. As is, where is, plus yung binasa ko kanina lang po. Ito naman po ang guidelines para sa GCQ. Kinakailangan po may minimum public health standards. Ibig sabihin, social distancing, pagsusuot ng face mask, at siyempre yung mandatory check ng temperature at paggamit po ng alcohol at iba pang mga sanitizers. Ang movement po ng lahat ng tao sa areas na nasa ilalim ng GCQ shall be limited to accessing essential goods and services and for work in the offices or industries permitted to operate dito po sa guidelines nito. Ibig sabihin, yung mga biyahe para po sa leisure, yung mga bakasyon, hindi pa rin po yan pinapayagan. Eto po, ulitin ko po huwag na pong magrevolusyon ng mga lolo at lola dahil ang presidente natin ay senior din. Lahat po ng kabataan, younger than 21 years old, at lahat po ng mga seniors in excess of 60, yung mga merong immunodeficiency, yung mga merong comorbidities at iba pang health risk, ang mga buntis, at lahat po ng mga kasama nila sa bahay ay kinakailangan manatili sa kanilang mga bahay, except, number 1, when indispensable under the circumstances for obtaining essential goods and services, and number 2, for work in permitted industries and offices. Napakadami pong nag-text sa akin na paano daw sila magtatrabaho, the most productive period in life daw is 60 to 70. Hindi po kayo pinipigilan. Basta allowed na yung inyong trabaho, pwede po kayong magtrabaho mga seniors. Work in government offices may be at full operational capacity. Balik trabaho na po ang mga government offices, local and national. Kailangan merong social distances at saka kung po pwede po, magkaroon ng alternative work arrangements as agencies may deem proper in accordance with the relevant rules and regulations issued by the Civil Service Commission. Ito naman po yung mga sektor na pinapayagan ng mag-operate. Ito po dati na. Agriculture, fishery, forestry, food manufacturing, food supply chain, including food resale establishments such as supermarket, grocery stores, food preparation establishments insofar as takeouts and delivery services, food delivery services, health-related establishment, logistical sector, information technology, and telecoms companies, the media, lahat po yan, full operational capacity. Category 1. Dati na rin po ito na in-announce ng DTI, Category 2 industries, mining and other manufacturing export-oriented and electronic commerce companies, as well as delivery, repair and maintenance, and housing and office services at anywhere between 50% up to full operational capacity and without prejudice to work from home and other alternative work arrangements. Category 3, yung mga financial services po, BPOs, legal and accounting and auditing services, professional, scientific, technical and other non-leisure services, and other non-leisure wholesale and retail establishments at a maximum of 50% work on-site arrangement and without prejudice to work from home and other alternative work arrangements. Specific industries under each categories po are reflected in a separate document to be issued by the DTI. Meron pong limited operation ng mga malls and shopping centers. Pero hindi pa rin po pinapayagan yung mga leisure establishments and services. Mananatili pong sarado yung mga yan. Provided na itong mga malls po and services allowed in the malls shall be allowed to operate in malls and shopping centers at a capacity consistent with item 5 of this section. Ibig sabihin, at a capacity na dapat po merong social distancing and complying with minimum health requirements. Provided further po na, ganoon na naman po, ang mga kabataan below 21 years old, hindi po pwedeng pumasok ng malls. Ang mga seniors, 60 and above, except, again, yung exception po, kapag indispensable under the circumstances for obtaining essential goods and services or for work in establishments na nasa mga malls. Provided finally po that the DTI may issue guidelines to limit foot traffic in such establishments. Yung mga essential projects po, no, public and private construction projects such as but not limited to sewerage, water services facilities, digital work, health facilities, and priority projects shall be allowed to operate in accordance with guidelines to be issued by DPWH, reflected in a separate issuance. Amusement, gaming, and fitness establishments, as well as those in the kids and tourism industries and all Category 4 industries, hindi pa rin po pwedeng magbukas. Industries in Category 4 are reflected in a separate DTI issuance mentioned above. Ang mga hotel po at saka similar establishment ay po pwede lamang mag-operate pag sa ganitong mga pagkakataon po sa areas sa labas po ng Luzon para po dun sa mga guests na meron ng existing booking accommodations for foreigners as of May 1, 2020. So malinaw po yan ha. For areas outside Luzon, yung merong mga guests po na may booking as of May 1, 2020 pero para po sa mga dayuhan. Yung mga guests na meron pong existing, hindi po future, existing long-term bookings at po pwede rin pong manirahan sa mga hotel and other establishment ang mga distressed overseas Filipino workers and stranded Filipinos or foreign nationals. Pwede rin po manirahan sa mga hotel yung mga repatriated OFWs in compliance with approved quarantine protocols, yung mga non-OFWs who may be required to undergo mandatory facility-based quarantine, o yung mga health workers and other employees from exempted establishments under these omnibus guidelines and applicable memorandum from the Executive Secretary. Provided sa lahat po ng mga pagkakataong ito, yung hotels po ay mag-ooperate lamang on a limited basis para lang po magbigay ng lugar na matutulugan ng kanyang mga guests. Yung physical classes po ay suspendido habang merong GCQ. Gayunpaman, ang higher education institutes po ay po pwede magklase sa pamamagitan ng flexible learning arrangements para po matapos ang academic year 2019 and 2020 at po pwede sila mag-operate ng limited capacity para po to receive students' requirements and prepare and issue credentials to students subject to the guidelines as may be issued by the Commission on Higher Education. Yung ito po, importante at mabuting balita po, yung pagbabawal po sa mass gathering ay applicable po, pero ngayon po, yung mga essential work gatherings and religious activities po pwede na pong magpatuloy provided merong social distancing na at least 2 meters. Sa transportasyon, 1 meter. Sa religious and work meetings, dapat 2 meters ang distansya dun po sa mga nag-a-attend ng work meetings at mga religious gatherings. Provided also po na mandatory ang pagsuot ng face mask, face shield, other facial protective equipment, at saka kinakailangan po yung mga iba pang minimum health requirements ay mapatupad. Ito po, bago rin. Road, rail, maritime, and aviation services of public transportation shall operate at a reduced capacity in accordance with the guidelines issued by the DOTR. So mabubuksan lang po ang lahat ng riles, kalye, pantalan, at airports sa mga areas na GCQ po GCQ lang. Provided that in all public transports, a strict 1 meter distance between passengers shall be observed and appropriate engineering controls in place. Okay, paano naman yung mga mamamayan natin na magbabiyahe between ECQ and GCQ? Ang general rule, bawal. Okay? Pero ano po ang mga exceptions dito? At ito pong mga rules nito, applicable lang po ito sa mga pagbiyahe ng tao and goods mula ECQ papunta ng GCQ and vice versa. Okay? At applicable din po ito sa area na an area not under community quarantine to a GCQ or ECQ area and vice versa. Okay? So, ano pong general rule? Lahat ng non-essential, bawal. Ano pong mga exception? Sino po pwedeng bumiyahe between ECQ and GCQ and vice versa? Health workers, government officials and government frontline workers. Yung mga bumabiyahe po for medical and humanitarian reasons. Yung mga papunta po ng airport dahil meron silang mga flights. Yung mga workers po na nagtatrabaho sa mga pinapayagang mga establishments. At saka yung mga manggagawa providing essential goods and services and public utilities. Yung mga essential skeletal workforce, yung mga repatriated OFWs and non-OFWs na pabalik po sa kanilang mga tahanan, at yung iba pang persons transported through the efforts of the national government upon conduct of the necessary quarantine protocols and in concurrence with the receiving LGUs. Lahat po ng movement ng types, lahat po ng cargos by land, air, or sea within and across areas placed under ECQ or GCQ shall be unhampered. So po pwede po talaga ang mga cargo, no? Workers in the logistics sector such as cargo tracking and port operations shall likewise be allowed to transit across areas placed under ECQ or GCQ. All LGUs po are directed to strictly abide by this national policy, provided only a minimum of 5 personnel may operate cargo and delivery vehicles by land with or without load. Yung LGUs po and local health units are hereby enjoined not to issue orders contrary to or inconsistent with solid directives such as but not limited to requiring asymptomatic drivers and crew of cargo of service delivery vehicles to undergo mandatory 14-day home quarantine, provided further that strict and social distancing measures must be strictly observed, which may include, if necessary, the putting of additional safe and humane seats or spaces in the vehicles, provided finally that the PNP retains its authority to conduct inspection procedures in checkpoints for the purpose of monitoring that protocols on strict home quarantine are observed. Haba nun ah. Land, air, or sea travel by uniformed personnel and government officials and employees for official business with the corresponding travel authority, especially those transporting medical supplies and laboratory specimens related to COVID-19 and other relief and humanitarian assistance shall be allowed. At allowed din po yung mga OFWs, permanent residents of foreign jurisdiction, and stranded foreign nationals na paalis papuntang abroad through any of the airports or seaports in areas placed under ECQ or GCQ without any impediment, provided that this provision shall not be interpreted to allow outbound travel by Filipinos to countries where travel restrictions are in place, provided further that departing passengers may be accompanied by not more than one person when traveling to an international port, who shall be allowed to return to his or her point of origin. Ibig sabihin, wala pong isang barangay na maghahatid. Isang tao lang. Repatriated OFWs or returning non-OFWs who have been issued a DOH or LGU certificate of completion of 14-day facility-based quarantine, or those who may be required to undergo a mandatory 14-day home quarantine, shall be granted unhampered transit across zones en route to their final destinations in the Philippines. O nga naman, no? Meron na silang certificate. No? For this purpose, LGUs are enjoined to allow maritime vessels or aircraft transporting the above-mentioned OFWs and non-OFWs to dock or land at their ports of destination. Ay, nako, salamat, natapos na. Kakapagod yun ah. Ito naman po, ang general provisions ng Omnibus Guidelines. No? LGUs are enjoined to enact necessary ordinances to enforce curfew by non-workers in jurisdiction placed under GCQ and to penalize in a fair and humane manner violations of the restrictions of the movement of people as provided under these Omnibus Guidelines. Ibig sabihin, pwede pa rin po mag-curfew, depende po sa LGU, sa kanilang ipapasang mga ordinansa. Pangalawa, ito po, para sa mga residential and community rents falling due within the duration of ECQ or GCQ upon residential lessees and micro, small, and medium enterprises not permitted to operate during said period, meron pong grace period of 30 days from the last due date or until such time that the community quarantine is lifted shall be observed, whichever is longer, without